the first rural development plan, the first rural Zambia, the first rural development plan of 1966 to 1970 recognized road infrastructure as a speeding up catalyst for social and economic development, with major investments in infrastructure being one of the key components of its strategies. Road infrastructure development to agriculture plays as statement over the years, government has continued to make efforts to enhance the transport sector, but unfortunately, the trickle-down benefit has not been the case for Chongwe district, which is characterized by family businesses. I think we've all been to Chongwe. We've seen how we people there are with family-owned. So Chongwe district is featured with poor road networks that have in turn led to high costs of transportation, hence the needing for rural road infrastructure. So my research objectives are as follows. So the following were the specific objectives for this research: to assess the impact of road infrastructure development, to identify the effectiveness of road infrastructure development, and to outline the constraints faced by small and medium-scale farmers in Chongwe. My methodology, the sample size that I used was 50 local farmers. The study utilized quantitative research methods to collect data, which was done manually. The study used interviews and questionnaires as data collection strategies. Interviews were mainly used to give more detailed insight into interpreting the situation so that the researcher sees things as they really are and provide the most needed information about the topic under investigation. Microsoft Excel was also used to derive visual aids such as graphs, charts, and data presentation. Tell us your findings. Okay, ma'am. All right. So my first finding is the link between road infrastructure and agriculture or markets. So the respondents acknowledge that there is an impact on road infrastructure. There is a strong impact, meaning road infrastructure acts as a factor of production. My second finding is under effectiveness. So the respondents indicated that there exists a number of benefits that come with good road networks, and these include 25% of them 24% of them indicated preservation of perishable goods, produce, and 28% of them indicated easy access to farm inputs, and 21% of them indicated good access to markets. So the constraints faced by farmers in rural areas, in terms of constraints or challenges farmers face in promoting their agricultural products, the study requested respondents to indicate the constraints affecting small and medium-scale farmers in rural areas. The research revealed that the following. Thank you.
is your paper different from these other people who have researched on the same paper?
So this one mainly stands out for small scale farmers. They are left out. Yes, when it comes to road infrastructure. So my main concern was storage issue. Roads are really bad. So when transporting their goods, they face losses. In transporting their goods. Also, the transport costs are really high.
So where do you see the
Sorry?
the livestock farmers?
Sorry?
Where we are saying mainly the small scale farmers. Give us an example of where you saw a good infrastructure for livestock farmers, so that you can make that comparison.
You can move closer.
Oh, can someone help?
Where have you seen a good road infrastructure for small-scale farmers for you to make that comparison? For large-scale farmers, for you to make that comparison to say, comparing this area.
I feel like the large scale farmers are more financially stable.
Should the farmers make the roads?
Like the large scale farmers, they have trucks, and for small scale farmers, usually they use buses. So when it comes to transportation, the large scale farmers are on the okay side.
Any question from the group? Now, let me say something. Don't keep quiet because you think when it's my turn, you're also carrying questions. We have just started learning. Understand? So if you don't learn from here, then you will never learn. So the idea is to help us become better. So you can't keep quiet. Then we are doing nothing as a nation and as a university at large. So after our presentation, she must be better. She's just started learning. So if you keep quiet, she will make the same mistakes in the next stage. Yes.
Yes, I made them an observation, I think, on two presentations. They are missing out on the game objective of giving it is one. Specific objective, but the game one is objective. So I don't know whether it's a standard that they were given or they're just missing.
No, the standard is that you have the general objective and you derive your specific objective from the general practice. So sometimes it's copy and paste. Yeah, which costs us a lot. Other questions or contributions to help our friend? Yes, sir.
My simple question, Madam, is because the government has rolled out the CDF program, of which there is an allocation of the city councils to be buying these machineries that helps in making feeder roads. I've been myself to Mporoko under the social district, where the council have bought those grading machines and the compactors for the district. So I wanted to find out from
They came up to say, we want the government to do this for us. Yeah, so this is where my conclusion comes. Yeah.
So how does the government do that in India is always talking about the cost. Yes, the cost. It's very expensive to do the road. I'm sure you know that. So small scale farmers cannot do the road on their own. I think that's why it's bringing the issue of the local government. right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that they can be involved.
So on that part, at the moment, other people in Jombe district, like there's the CDF allocation of funds. I don't think they've started already working on the road. But at the moment, people are slowly putting in small monies to work on certain roads. So at potholes,
That's not sustainable, and that is what you must change as a researcher. Because as you go with your information to the local government, you may right now escalate it to the government. You must have those first. Yeah. So, yes, sir.
I think, ma'am, on that one, the best way that can be done is to engage the WDC. When the WDC is engaged, also the council, then they will follow it up in the council meeting. Then after the council meeting, then they can proceed it to the ministry now of local government. Then those roads, I think, there will be an allocation to those roads. Thank you.
The last contribution?
Yeah, I just wanted to also add something. When the roads are being worked on, they fall under categories. There are those that fall under feeder roads. I think those that fall under feeder roads, they are supposed to be worked on by the local council. I remember there's a portion of CDF which was allocated specifically for working on those roads. And then the different other roads, like profitable roads, those it is channeled through RDA. And there's always a budget to work on commercial roads. But those that fall under township roads, also that is where the council now use their initiative by just grading the roads in order to do what? To improve the passage. So you need to look at 3 categories of those roads that you're talking of. Township roads, feeder roads, and then also commercial roads. Thank you.
Very valuable contribution. So as a researcher, you should have all that information. So when you talk about the road, what type of road are you talking about? I think we are running away from being our objective being smart. Okay? When we say we have to be smart, what does that mean? A is for what? S specific, right? Achievable. You get the point. Huh? When we are doing the research papers, let's get all the necessary information so that as we go out there, we know. We are talking about the feeder road, like we are saying, and the people to help us with the feeder road is this, the CDF allocation of this much, you know, and the people to see for CDF is this kilometers are this, not just the theory. Thank you.
Examining business failure among indigenous small businesses, the case study of Lusaka's Mtendeli Township. As we know, in Zambia, 97% of businesses are made up of SMEs. Yes, the failure rate for these SMEs is alarming. So my main objective was to find out the major challenges that cause business failure among small businesses. And I angled on 3 specific areas. That is marketing, the business plan, and the role of financial management. So my specific objectives were to assess the effectiveness of marketing in championing the growth of small businesses, to find out whether a business plan affects the overall performance of the business and to examine the role of financial management in the sustainability of small businesses. So I use the descriptive research design. I also use the structured questionnaires, and the sample size for my research was 50 respondents, which made up of the formal sector and the informal sector. And the findings from my research was there was lack of innovative marketing strategies among the small business owners. And also on the part of the business plan, I discovered that lack of a business plan does not directly cause business failure. I also found out that financial mismanagement is the major cause of business failure. Then on the recommendations, there was need for government to train small business owners on creative strategies and innovation. Then also business owners should take part in financial literacy programs. And also there is further research needed on the application of the business plan in small businesses.
What's the value of the research? How is it connected now?
Okay, why I picked this topic because SMEs in Zambia, they contribute much to GDP, also alleviating poverty, and they also help many households. But if SMEs continue to fail in their operations, it means a lot will be affected. And I also did a comparison. In the same area, we have a lot of businesses which are owned by foreigners. Yet them, despite any conditions, they thrive, but the local-owned businesses continue to fail at an alarming rate.
So what is the reason for their failure? What was the reason for their failure?
So I discovered that the main cause for their failure was financial mismanagement. Number one, there is not that distinction between the business and the separate entity from the owner. Like the money they inject, the same money they inject in the business, the same capital they use for household needs.
So you are saying the government must come in to help those small businesses. How?
Like I mentioned, ma'am said they should help them in coming up with creative marketing strategies. Because these businesses, the majority of them, they only market their businesses at the beginning of their businesses. Once the business starts growing, they stop marketing. And then when the business goes down, they will simply change location. And then also they are also paralyzed in terms of capital. They don't have enough capital for them to carry out those marketing strategies and innovation strategies. So that's why I said the government should come in and help with them.
May I ask a question? Yes. Did you study, does your government on any level have any programs for supporting entrepreneurs or small businesses? Do they have such programs?
Yes, like in this specific area, the area for study, there are specific programs for SMEs, but unfortunately they are mostly for those which are in the formal sector. So the ones in the informal sector, they are mostly sidelined.
You are proposing to help which sector?
I would suggest both sectors, because even if there are such programs, even those people from the informal sector, they shall have from such programs. So they need something for all the opportunities.
As a researcher, don't you have questions if something is not being supported, maybe it's not needed, because the market is full. I mean, if it's needed, it's needed. If it's not needed, it's not needed. If it's consumed, it's consumed. So I mean, in business, if you produce something which people like, so then you get profit. If you produce just for production, and people don't like it, so no matter how much will be invested, people will not buy it. So what are you trying to support? You're trying to support the businesses which are not profitable. Maybe there should be some another research that maybe those things which they produce are not needed by the market, for example, is not consumed by the internal market.
In this specific area, most of the businesses, they sell like household products, vegetables, and also there are barber shops and saloons, which people they buy on a daily basis.
Okay, so there shouldn't be much profit. It's just, it's a rural small business.
Yes.
Well, it's just a fact, and it's not about your specific area. It's just a fact of a small business in any country. When you come to, small businesses, yes, sleeping areas such as barber shops or whatever, yes, they're not profitable. And market truth is that it is okay for them to shut up. It's okay because there's no seafood, there's no consumption, there's no market. And it's not about something valuable for the society. And I will tell you another fact that it is okay for startups, fail. And only 0.003% of startups survive. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, there is nothing to do as a government. It is just, simply how market is organized in every country.
Thank you.
Next. 5 minutes. Hurry up.
Frank Mata. Is that Frank? You are? Your name? The number. The time you were supposed to present?
It was supposed to be, according to this, is 11:35, but according to that's 15.
I thought we had done if they want to.
Sorry.
Huh? I can't see your name.
What I'm saying, according to this, it's showing me 11:45. And I was not supposed to be there.
the list?
Yes.
Who's Frank Mapa? Who's Mr. Frank Mapa? Okay, let's have our member of staff. As he's settling, let's have Brian. Who's next on the list? Brian? Brian who? Wanda? Are you Brian?
No, madam. It's just a consent that has been observed. On the link that was shared earlier today, a lot has changed. So
this is the latest one. Unless
we are following the latest one. Because there is already one in the book.
No, the book we are done. So it means you came late. We are done.
No, like my name. My name was supposed to have been in room 3. But when I checked on the latest one, it is showing that I'm supposed to be here.
What I'm trying to say is, that list which I was saying, who is the list?
Sorry?
Someone gave me the list, the soft copy. Is it this one which they are printing? Yes. So this is what we are following. Yeah. So according to this list, just compare with what we have, what you have. Milambo was supposed to be the first one. Then Emmanuel Alolo, Chan Sonda, Mwanza Chilufias. You are Mwanza Chilufias. So you are next.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My name is Mwanza Chilufias, BA Economics and Finance. So my study was on examining the effects of minimum wage policy on employment, a case study of domestic workers in the world. That's the content. So when you look at minimum wage policy, we are looking at the employees for that the government set in which the employers must adhere to. So when we look at minimum wage policy, we are saying it is an important tool for promoting fair wages and reducing poverty. Their effects on employment, household income, purchasing power, and poverty levels on domestic workers remain complex, varied, and require thorough examination. The introduction of this wage adjustment policy in Zambia aims to protect low-income workers, such as domestic workers, by ensuring that they earn wages sufficient enough to cover their basic living costs. However, the impact of this policy on the economic well-being of these domestic workers and their households, particularly in Ndora, remains unclear. when we look at the objectives, we are trying to analyze the effects of this minimum wage adjustment on household disposable income, the effects of minimum wage policy on purchasing power of these domestic workers, and also to determine the effects of minimum wage policy on the poverty situation of households. Domestic.
Do we have any problem? Behind there? Is our order? Continue.
Yes, madam. So the third objective was to determine the effects of minimum wage policy on the poverty situation of households of these domestic workers. When we look at the methodology, the mixed approach was used where both qualitative and quantitative approach were used in gathering information. About 75 domestic workers were sampled, and data was collected with, using the following methods: structured questionnaire, semi-structured interviews, and document analysis. In presenting the data, we used the statistical package for social sciences. So the results, when you look at the figures there, the first figure was talking about whether domestic workers have seen some changes in their household disposable income post minimum wage policy. So when you look at those presentations, you find that most of the respondents argue to say that they have not seen any major changes despite the minimum wage adjustment. On the other pie chart, domestic workers were asked to say they have made any major purchases regardless of since their minimum wages have been adjusted by the government. However, most of the respondents argued to say no, they haven't made any major purchases because their disposable income is not sufficient enough to acquire major purchases. Later on, domestic workers were asked to find out their perception of price changes and in regards to minimum wage adjustment. If you look at the first figure, they have said that price changes there have been price changes post minimum wage adjustment. About 52% likely to say there have been that significant increase in price changes despite in line with the post minimum wage increase, which outlined that their disposable income still remain the same, lower as well as compared to their purchasing power because they are unable to purchase goods that will be able to recover or meet their basic needs because the prices are slowly attributed to inflation due to the increase in the price of goods and services. On the other pie chart, domestic workers were asked to what the purpose of saving money, whether they save money regardless after after meeting their basic needs. Most of the respondents, they argued to say about 7% to say the purpose of saving money is to meet the emergency issues or emergency fund, meaning that most domestic workers will focus most on meeting emergency fund, hence they don't save money for investment or other purposes, which show that their domestic income is not sufficient enough for investment or for saving. Then on the other results, here domestic workers were asked to whether they have seen change in poverty status post minimum wage adjustment. About 50% argued there have been a slight improvement, whilst about 20%, 25% argued to say there have been no change. About 25% argued to say that improved slightly. When you look at the impact of minimum wage policy on poverty reduction, the other figure indicates to say the description indicates that while wage adjustment may have provided some relief, they have not brought substantial poverty reduction, possible due to limited increase relative to household needs. When you look at the discussion, this research generates important knowledge on how wage regulation affects the large informal labor sector, thereby supporting evidence-based policy making It also encourages innovative approaches to labor monitoring, policy enforcement, and work protection. Additionally, it promotes.
Thank you. Yeah. Point number 1. The rainbow. So when we are presenting to the group, we need 9 change that, right? Yes. So now we get to the stage. We are talking about the new mandate and the domestic worker. So what happens, or what happened after the message?
You can come again.
What were you trying to achieve?
I was trying to achieve how the adjustment in minimum wage policy affects employment in regard to domestic workers.
So how has it affected the employment?
When you find that there is an adjustment on minimum wage policies, this becomes a cost to employers. It becomes a cost to employers because they have to adhere to the government minimum level required to pay wages to employers. As a result, you find out that in order to meet the government requirement, these employers may tend either to terminate some of the workers in order to remain with a few or reduce working hours so that they can pay according to the required standard. If they maintain the same workers, you find that the cost of production for these domestic workers becomes higher. I mean, the cost for domestic workers becomes higher. Hence, they try to trim down the employment of domestic workers.
So what's your advice after the research? What's your advice to domestic workers and their employers?
Advice to domestic employers, you find that most of these domestic workers are in home employment, and it's very difficult for these domestic workers to adhere. Most of the research indicates clearly they adhere to the government regulation, and you find that these domestic workers are mostly exploited despite the government setting the minimum wage policies. Therefore, it is important to have the government, they should take up a monitoring exercise where to see whether these employers are adhering to the guidelines that the government sets in order to improve the living cost for these domestic workers, because mostly they are exploited by their employers.
And before this transfer, did you find out why the employers are not giving them the minimum wage as required by the government?
One of the problems there is less sensitization on the part of the government. You find that even them domestic workers are not aware about the minimum wage policy.
Are you sure?
Yes, about the percentage are not aware. Only a few are aware about the minimum wage policy.
To the group.
Madam, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I wanted just to find out from my brother, the researcher, the same for the minimum wage. Because what I know is that whenever the minimum wage is presented, the employers will go to the labor office and write a report on what they can manage to offer to their employees, because despite the minimum wage being given, their salaries do not increase there and then. So that's why there is the need for that report. So I don't know if he has gone to the labor office and find out why they are paying the way they are paying the domestic workers.
Apart from the labor office, then the employers those who are employed. Because if you can't find out why they are not implementing the minimum wage, then the problem will continue. Any other comment? Is a contribution there?
Yes, I just wanted to find out where is the minimum wage amount? Because I didn't see where it is at the moment. Just talking about minimum wage. Where is it at the moment?
Look, for domestic workers, there was one which was done in 2018, which there was an increase about 89%. It was somewhere from 400 to somewhere 820. Then again, in 2024, another adjustment was done about 52% from 820 to 1,300.
We're talking about the current.
The current is for 2024, the last adjustment, which is about 1 and it was about 52% increment.
About the government policies, right? So think about the main feature of your research and study their practices, not just your findings, but what they have already done. And they what have they had? And if they don't do anything, so find this reason as a researcher. Not just, like throw a problem in front of them, like do it. So here's a problem. But also do some preliminary research. Okay, so what have they done? What is the level of their awareness? Because I never believe that a government in any country, not even talking about your respective country, is so careless about the people. I'm sure they love the country, I'm sure they love the citizens, I'm sure they are doing their best. So your job as a researcher is to help them, but not to fight with them with your proposal. And once you find it, even they have a problem, so help them again with calculating the expenses. And when you, as a researcher, calculate the expenses and compare it with the budget the government really has, you will understand where the gap is. And you will be able also to understand how you should educate your citizens to pay taxes. This is also because a government is not a business. They don't make money. They have access only through the taxation. And this is, like a circle which is connected. So once people understand that their life depends on how regular they pay taxes, so the government can organize their lives better on their money. Understand?
Thank you. Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Give him a hand of applause.
we noticed that we have a list that Professor is following. And then before we started, we went through this booklet. We started with the booklet. So if you just come, we might have called your name. So we started with the booklet, and then Professor proceeded with the list. So just be patient. You'll be told, everyone will present. You'll be told when to present.
Frank Masa. Mr. Mbamlenga. Mbamlenga. What's your name? Excuse me. The one in campus? Patrick Shima.
Shima, yes.
Can't see your name here. We are following the list. Mumba Mlenga is not here, right? Tobias Mlinga he has presented. He was in the booklet, right? Brad Mbanga, not here. Enoch Kimwelwa, he has presented, right? Yes. Miss Makala Nyama, the next. You have another list.
Yes,
You can come. Another she can come.
Good morning. My topic is examining the effectiveness of HR safety measures in cutting industrial accidents, a case study of Zambia's construction sector.
Try to be loud, please.
So, introduction and the critical problems, the global and local safety crisis in construction. Construction is among the world's most hazardous industries, accounting for 30% of global workplace facilities. In Zambia, rapid infrastructure has grown. In Zambia, rapid infrastructure growth has intensified safety risk with construction accounting for over 40 annual workplace injuries. Research objective and theoretical framework. Study aims to examine employee awareness of HR safety measures, assess the implementation level of these measures in construction firms, evaluate the effectiveness of incident reporting and response procedures. Theoretical foundation.
Do we still have a problem? Huh? Can we have order? Can we have order?
So hierarchies are incident occupation theory 1931 states to say 88% of accidents stem from unsafe acts, underscoring the need for behavior and training in aviation. Safety management model emphasizes a structured proactive approach, integrating policy, risk management, assurance, and promotion for a resilient safety culture. So we have a mixed method approach, which is the design, integrated quantitative and qualitative data for triangulation in depth. And then under quantitative, we have structured survey across 50 construction firms in Lusaka. Under qualitative, in-depth interviewers with HR managers, safety officers and supervisors. And then sample, we have stratified random sampling to ensure representation across small, medium, and large firms. Analysis, we have descriptive statistics, thematic analysis, and cross-validation to ensure robust guidelines. And then key finding number 1. As we can see on the chart, only 42 of construction workers are familiar with emergency procedures. Less than 50 consistency use personal protective equipment, citing lack of access and training. Awareness is skewed. 44% non-fire safety, but only 16 are aware of workplace harassment policy. Training is inconsistent, which makes it 36% receive quarterly training, but 14% experience it well. A significant proportion of employees are unaware of existing safety measures and hence remains limited even where awareness exists. And then key finding number 2. While 60% of HR managers confirm having safety policies, implementation is inconsistent. 50% of firms have regularly updated written policies, 20% have none at all. Primary barriers, resources, constraints, weak regulatory enforcement, and lack of management follow through. The silver lining firms with regular training in positive safety culture saw a 25% reduction in accident rates. Safety protocols are legally mandated, but compliance is And then key finding number 3, only 35% of accidents are formally reported due to fear of retaliation and perceived inefficiency. 40% of respondents report delay beyond 1 hour in accident reporting. Corrective actions are often weak, only 36% are deemed highly effective. 35% of companies cite resource constraints as the main challenge to effective response. Under reporting is a significant barrier, especially in a high-level organization. And then discussion and implementation, the finding review a fragmented safety ecosystem. Awareness, action, knowledge does not automatically translate to compliance with supportive culture and resources. Policy practice, written policies are meaningless without budgetary allocation, management, and commitment and accountability. Reporting and learning, equality culture, stakeholder reporting, preventing organization, learning from